In this video, I'll show you how to use HTTP Web API in Microsoft Copilot Studio. So just give you an example. Now I have created so many agents over here. So as you can see the list of agents. Now in Copilot Studio, what you can do once you create a basic scaffolding of an agent, you have an option to connect to a knowledge source. So you can go ahead and add a knowledge. So there are by default that are available. The knowledge source that are available are OneDrive, SharePoint, or you can connect to a existing file which you have in your desktop, or you can source the information from public website, SharePoint site, or Azure AI search for optimizing your agent with those advanced retrieval capabilities. You can use Dataverse, Azure SQL, ServiceNow, Salesforce, Dynamics 365, or if that doesn't suffice, you have lot of connections with Zendesk, Snowflake, Confluence, Oracle, SAP, Azure Databricks. Now, you can do a whole bunch of things with your agent. However, sometimes these all things are not sufficient, right? Like, say, if you have any custom web API and you want to consume the information from that web API, how can you go ahead and do that? Because those options are not listed over here. So for that, what we can do is we can use something called as topics. So first, the basic fundamental for creating an agent is like there is a topic will get triggered, and based on the execution of the topic you will get that response. So if I click on creating a topic, so I'll click on add a topic, I can create a topic from blank. And let me call this as, say, a simple example would be the weather information. So if I want to fetch the latest weather information, I can just say trigger this topic when someone says weather. And here we can send a message, weather for, and I will just hard code this information. So I'll just say, you can make it dynamic, but for the sake of this example, I'll just say weather for Brisbane is something, right? So this is the information we just need to fill in over here. So I'll click on save, and let's trigger this topic and see whether that topic gets executed or not once we type in the keyword as weather. And I'll just type in weather. And as you see, this topic is now triggered, weather information, and you see the response. The weather for Brisbane is XXX. Now we need to fill this information, right? Now, this is a live information, so we need to get this information from some third party website, right? You can connect it to a tool, or you can use ready-made control which are currently available within Copilot Studio. But maybe now this time what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into a separate website like openmedio.com. Now here it's a free weather API, so you get to see the various features, what this particular API supports. So you just need to provide this URL, and then it will start giving you the response back. So it has got like so many features like high resolution rapid updates. It has got historical data. It's a free API for non-commercial use, but if you want to use it for commercial purpose, you can go ahead and use the subscription. Now, as you see over here, we can see the last 10 days data, we can see the historical data, and then we can go ahead and use the features or try the API here. So I'll click on try the API here, and then it will give me various things which I can configure. So first thing, we can see the coordinate, we can see the list, bounding box, latitude, longitude, not set, and all those things. Now, I belong to a Brisbane location within Australia, so maybe I'll just go ahead and search, and I'll just type in Brisbane. And here it will give you Brisbane, Queensland. I'm not in Brisbane, California, but Brisbane, Queensland. I can go ahead and favorite this out, and that's it. And I, I have an option to add that coordinate. So I'll click on add coordinate, and then I can select other location as well. So I can just configure that. So I'll just click on search again, I'll select this, and then the Brisbane data gets selected. So latitude -27, longitude 5153. So that's the correct location for Brisbane. And now here, what I want is, I want a temperature, maybe I want relative humidity, if there are any rains, or other things, like maybe I'll just pick up visibility. So I'm picking like three or four parameters, and once I get all these things, I can view this. You can see here it says API response, chart and URL, Python, TypeScript. So all those things can be configured over here. Temperature in Celsius, wind speed, kilometer per hour, ISO format, and I can get all this information from here. So uh, there are other things which you can configure on the left hand side, as you see different locations, but for time being, I think I'm okay with it. So this is how you can basically configure, right? Now you can download the XLS6, download the CSV once you get the response, but this is the URL which it has calculated. So let me go ahead and paste this URL in the browser. So this is the response I get. Now I want to show that in my Copilot Studio, right? The topic which I've created. Now I'm not able to interpret what exactly this is. So let me go ahead and go into an application which can decipher the JSON. So I'm just opening in JSON grid desktop, and I'll just paste it over here. And this is what this information is all about. So it has given me the lat long, and it has given me the generation time, UTC offset seconds, time zone, elevation. So Brisbane has got elevation of 27 meters, and hourly units, hourly over here. Now, if I go to hourly units, I can see time, temperature, relative humidity, rain, and visibility. Yes, these are the parameter which I have selected. And what are the hourly data for that specific time. So if you could click on time, these are the times, these are the temperature, pretty cold over here, at least for us. And then we have relative humidity, and there's no chance of rain, and visibility is pretty much good enough. Okay, so this is the information which we get from the system. Now, okay, let's go into Copilot Studio, and let's start getting this information in the Copilot Studio uh, application. So here, when we go into the topic, let's go into the topic again, go into the topic, weather information, click on weather information, and we are going to fill this information over here in the message. But before we send out a message, let's first uh, work on this particular topic. Let me close this chat interface. Let me show you, this is the work which we have done. uh, Go back to topic. Let me do a hard refresh, control F5. And then go back to the topic. So let's go to the topic, weather information, and here we have this trigger and the message. Now I can click on add node. So I'll click on add node, and here uh, there are so many options: send a message, ask a question, but that doesn't satisfy my need. I'll go to advanced and say send HTTP request. So if you do not have any specific custom connector on, if there is a need to send out an HTTP request, you can use this feature set to uh, send an HTTP request to a specific URL. Now the URL, yes, we know the URL because this URL has been given by openmeteor.com. So I'll just copy this URL and paste it in the URL section. Now the method which we are going to use, the HTTP method, is a get one, because we are just receiving the response. We are not posting somewhere, we are not updating it, we are not deleting a resource. The options which you get is get, post, patch, put, and delete. So I'm happy with the get as of now. I have an option to uh, edit the headers and body. Now, as this API does not authenticate you, so there's no need of authentication. But then if you have an API which authenticate, you need to put something in the header and body. There's an option to put the content, whether no content or JSON content or a raw content. Then configure request timeout, headers, error handling, and all those things. Like sometimes you need to pass on the bearer token, or sometimes you need to specify the response format. But in my case, I need not specify anything. It's just that I just need to, I don't need edit work over here. So I don't need this. So headers and bodies fine. So URL, method, response type. Now as you all know that this is either a string, we can take it as a boolean, number, record, table, any, or from sample data. Now I don't have a specific format, I don't know what the structure is, so let's pick up from sample data. So from sample data, and I have this output, right? This is the output. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this output. This is my format, and I'll go to here, get schema from sample JSON. I'll paste the data over here, click on confirm. The moment I click on confirm, you get the schema generated. Now you will see the edit schema, and now if you see the schema, it has automatically generated the schema for me. So this schema talks about uh, say kind, record, properties, elevation number. So it is going to give me the elevation, generation time, hourly information in a record format, relative humidity in a table format, temperature in a table format, time in a table format, visibility in table format, and then so on and so forth. And then we have latitude, longitude, time zone abbreviation. Now if you see the structure, this will exactly match the structure over here. So as you see the structure, so this is the same structure which I was talking about. So this is all getting interpreted nicely. Now I'm okay with it. Click on confirm. We have generated the schema. We got the sample from the output, and save response as. So here I can save this response in one variable. So I'll just create a new variable. I'll just say create new, and it's always a best practice to rename your variable. So I'll call it as where weather output, and the reference is http. Either you can make it as a global or a topic specific. I'll just keep it topic specific for now. And here in the output, so in the message, we just put xxx. Now we have got a complete list, right? So here I can either dump in all the information. So let me just say show you this, the weather for Brisbane is. So if I just dump in all the information, let me insert a variable. Now here I can see where weather output, so it's a record. Okay, either I can just take this variable output, or I can specify, oh, elevation is this, or hourly output record is this, or I can see relative humidity in a table format, I can see hourly rain in a table format. So I get so many information from here, right? So if you see, this is that output which uh, the I'm getting that response. So I've got latitude, I got longitude. So what I can do is I will just go ahead and maybe just put the entire record. So weather for Brisbane is this, and now let me put up some separator, and then I will add maybe a couple of items over here. So let me put, say, latitude and longitude. So latitude, and insert variable, and longitude, and then I'll click on save. You can extract all the information. This is just like a demonstration, so I'm just picking up a couple of value. You can pick and choose whatever you want. So now this is all configured. Again, let's go to our test agent and ask for weather, and then once I type in weather, it will go to that API. It has gone into that API, and it has given me this information. Now this information, currently we have just dumped in whatever information we got, but here you have a chance to pick up specific column. Like you can either pick elevation, hourly information, rain information, weather information, humidity, etc., and then you can get those values. Like as you see, the couple of things which you have created, the latitude and longitude, those all things have come directly as a number. So you have an option to either put it in a card format or put it in like a media format. Those things you can perform, but the whole purpose for this particular demonstration was to show you that there is an option for you to call and HTTP API. Like what we have done, we have gone into the topic and then we have made use of something called as an HTTP request. So HTTP request can be created just by clicking on the new, advance, and send an HTTP request. And then there are multiple options. You can specify the URL. Method is get, put, push, patch, delete. Those are the options. You can configure the headers and body, and also you can specify the response data type. Either it can be record, it can be boolean, it can be table, or if you're not sure about the structure, like what we were, we just selected from sample data. We generated the schema. Schema is generated from the output of the web API, and we have just extracted those information. So that's it, folks. This is how you use HTTP Web API in Copilot Studio. Thanks for watching.